Coming this Halloween from SJS Direct, a darker shade of black, Spellbound. Get Spellbound, paperback or ebook at your favorite online bookseller this Halloween. There's a whole lot of controversy over Netflix's new Luke Cage show, and many of these white male racist fanboys are sitting there saying that the show is too black because the show pretty much has an all black cast. And a lot of these black comic fanboys are saying that this is the reason why many of these racist fanboys are upset. I'll say this, that is only one of the reasons that these white racist fanboys are upset. And the other reason why these white racist fanboys are upset has to do with the hypocrisy of this Afro-American Negro regarding the scandal going on in the storyline of Luke Cage. Now, when it comes down to Luke Cage, the show is a groundbreaking show. It's a very good show, story-wise, and this is one of the reasons why these racist fanboys are upset. They're upset because the show features a all-black cast, and they think because it features an all-black cast, that's one of the reasons why it's too black. Because in their minds, there has to be some sort of white person on the show in order to balance things out. However, we go to other television shows and other Netflix shows like Daredevil on Netflix and TV shows like your NCIS and other TV shows. There's no need for diversity on many of these white shows. So that argument really doesn't wash about Luke Cage being too black. When we look at the Luke Cage storyline, it's set in Harlem, a predominantly black community at one time. And the whole argument of the Luke Cage show being too black, again, makes no sense when you really think about who created Luke Cage. Luke Cage was created by white people in the 1970s. He is their idea of what they thought a black superhero should have been. So that argument about the Netflix show being too black, that again makes no logical sense because it's an argument that pretty much defies logic. If the character was created by white people, how can the character be too black in an adaptation? Now, the reason why they are saying it is too black in this adaptation is because this adaptation is coming from black people. And this is the big problem that a lot of these fanboys and fangirls don't understand regarding the concept of adaptation. Now, as a screenwriter and a person who has screenwriting experience, I understand what adaptation is. An adaptation is not a translation from the comics to the screen. An adaptation is an interpretation of that source material for the screen. It is basically a new creation using the names, the places, the concepts, and the ideas of the character. So what we have here with Luke Cage and what's making many of these racist fanboys upset and fangirls upset is that these African Americans are adapting the Luke Cage character and interpreting it in their own way. Because they are interpreting the Luke Cage character in their own way, they are breaking away from the traditional narrative that many comic fans know about Luke Cage. Now, when it comes down to their version of Luke Cage, he is this big, brawling black guy who goes around with an afro, a metal tiara, and a a yellow silk shirt and a pair of Shazam boots, and it works as a hero for hire. Now, that concept in this adaptation has been changed into a guy who goes out and protects his community. Basically, they have taken this character and changed him to fit what the black community would see a Luke Cage as, not what white people would see Luke Cage as. Because I sat there and I own Hero for Hire #1, and this was the concept for Luke Cage as they originally wrote it. And what they did in their adaptation was take that character, and what they did was strip away the stereotypes and create their own interpretation of the character. And what they're upset about is that that interpretation does not fit the narrative that these white creators had for this Luke Cage character. And the other thing that really makes these white fanboys upset is that about this whole too black thing is that what they're saying regarding this whole too black thing is they don't like the idea of seeing black people taking this character, interpreting it their own way, with their own production values, with their own production team, with their own cast, and going in that direction. For them, seeing these black people take one of these black icons that they created for themselves and interpreting it their own way, that really upsets them because they really wanted to see, this guy who's going around in the tiara, the afro, the yellow shirt, talking about Sweet Christmas. Now that wouldn't work in 2016, but that's what they really wanted to see. But this is adaptation, and in adaptation, you are interpreting the character to fit what will fit the screen, and this fits the screen. Now, what also has these racist fanboys upset is the whole idea of what's going on with this scandal. Now, this scandal relates to the hypocrisy of this Afro-American Negro as it relates to this whole Luke Cage thing. And if you're listening to what I'm saying, you're pretty much going to pick up on it if you're a critical thinker. Now, when Brian Michael Bendis started writing the New Avengers back in about 2003 or 2004, he brought Luke Cage onto the Avengers. And while he was doing that, he was doing a series with the character Jessica Jones, and he was doing a sort of retroactive continuity. And in this continuity, Luke Cage and Jessica Jones have a relationship. And this is the big thing that's got a lot of these comic fanboys really butthurt regarding your whole Luke Cage. And what they're upset about is what's going to happen on the show in the future. Because when it comes down to the Luke Cage character, what he's going to do is something that Olivia Pope has already done already, and no one has had a problem with Olivia Pope doing it except certain black men in the black community. And this is what makes many of these Afro-American Negroes hypocrites. And I believe it's one of the reasons why the show is popular is with these hoteps and these pro-blacks, because they like this Luke Cage show not because it's a black male superhero, but because it's a black male superhero who's going to go out here and swirl. And that's right, your Luke Cage in the comics was out here with Jessica Jones, and they were dating each other, and they had a biracial baby. So that's what the white racist fanboys are upset about. They're afraid that what we're going to see on screen is this black actor in having carnal relations with the extremely attractive Kristen Ritter, who was playing Jessica Jones, and they're going to see an interracial relationship between a black man and a white woman. They're going to see Luke Cage swirl. And this is what they are really upset about, the whole idea of Luke Cage swirling. And what makes it hypocritical for these Afro-American Negroes who complain about scandal is that they are upset about Olivia Pope going out here to swirl with the President of the United States and being a side piece, but then we have Luke Cage about to go out here and swirl with Jessica Jones. And this pretty much shows you the hypocrisy of the Afro-American Negro as it relates to these interracial relationships. And it shows the hypocrisy of these white racist fanboys and fangirls as it relates to interracial relationships. Because Iron Fist in the comic books was having an interracial relationship with Misty Knight since 1975. And that was perfectly fine. But the minute this black man, Luke Cage, decides to go out and have an interracial relationship with Jessica Jones, everybody's in an uproar. This is what shows the double standard regarding these interracial relationships and the narrative of this white liberal as it relates to them. When you look at this whole Luke Cage show, yes, it's a positive show. Yes, it has good production values. Yes, it has black people in an all-black cast. However, what really taints the show is the hypocrisy regarding the racist fanboys and the Afro-American Negro, because they are upset about the whole idea of this Luke Cage character going out here and swirling, because they know that Luke Cage is going to swirl. Brian Michael Bendis has pretty much written this into continuity. It is canon. It is part of the source material, and he has had the biracial baby, which pretty much proves that this is going to happen. So this is what's got everybody all upset about Luke Cage. And this is why the show is not too black. When you think about the whole Luke Cage concept, it was never too black. The show was never too black. How can a show be too black when the character was on the Jessica Jones show, pursuing a relationship with her in that show before, and then has his own show, and the roots of it are going to eventually go towards the direction of him going out to swirl? And how can a show be too black when the character was created by white people? When you deconstruct this whole concept of Luke Cage, the television show, you see what's really behind it. And if they do go in that direction, I guarantee you what's going to happen to Luke Cage is what happened to Supergirl. When Supergirl was out here talking about how she was lusting after that piece of hot chocolate James Olsen, the ratings on that show completely declined. And the reason why that show completely declined is because those white racist fanboys and black women pretty much stopped watching that show. And if they were to see this Luke Cage go out here and start swirling with Jessica Jones, Netflix has pretty much put the nail in the coffin in the Luke Cage show for season 2. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.